using substitution. Although if you decide you like to do elimination, I really don't care, right? Because on the test, I don't specify, okay? So you can do it either way. So on G15, you're looking at that one. On the graphs, right above the graphing, would you please write y equals mx plus b? Even after doing that Quizlet on graphing the other day, I still have people going, I'm not sure how to start this. So keeping in mind that this B is your beginning point. So if you put this on your notes on right in the G15, the beginning meaning that's your 0B, always on the y-axis. And the M is telling us how to move, and it tells us how to move in that it should always be a fraction, rise over run. The other thing I might put with this is that a positive slope, M, always goes up to the right, and a negative slope, thinking about that face, goes down. It is possible that you have infinitely many or no solution on any of the problems on here, or your answer is going to be an ordered pair. If it comes out and you get this ordered pair, the x comma y, the two numbers that you get should work in both equations. Should work in both on when you do the substitution, should work on both when you do the graphs, and should work on both when you do the elimination. And you need to do 4 from here. And again, I had someone say, well, what if I like doing substitution? I don't care. On the test, I don't check which way you do it. You just got to be able to solve it, okay? So, today in class, we are going to be working on, I'm going to be giving you this worksheet packet, and it's on supply and demand. And we're going to watch this video really quickly. And then if you do have 12 or 15 and you're working, I will check that from you and mark it down. So some of you already had that completed the other day. So, quiet, please.
Hey, how you doing, students? This is Mr. Clifford. Welcome to Econ Movies. Today we're going to look at the economics in Indiana Jones. As you know, Dr. Jones isn't an economist, he's an archaeologist.
Do not follow maps to buried treasure, and X never, ever marks the spot.
Sounds pretty boring. Let's look at one of the most important concepts in all of economics, demand and supply. It all starts with buyers and sellers.
You bring me no hachi. There he is.
This Mirachi's real small guy.
They come together to negotiate a price that works for both. The buyer wants to pay the lowest price possible, but the seller doesn't have to accept that offer.
The diamond line. The deal was for the diamond.
Now, if the buyer really wants that product, he's going to have to increase the price to something that the seller is willing to take. In this example, it's just one buyer and one seller. When you start analyzing multiple buyers and sellers, then you're looking at markets. To understand markets, Indiana Jones needs to find somebody to teach him demand and supply. To learn about demand and supply, let's pick a market that we can analyze. So let's pick something like pet snakes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Let's start with demand. To have demand, buyers must be willing and able to buy pet snakes. Now, obviously, some people like pet snakes and some people don't.
There's a big snake in the plane's eye! Oh, that's just my pet snake, Reggie! I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them!
When the price is really high, let's say $100 for a pet snake, people don't want to buy very many snakes. In this case, only 10 would be purchased. After all, there's a bunch of substitute pets you could buy instead. You could buy a pet tarantula, a pet elephant, or a pet camel.
No camels.
Okay, no camels, no camels. If the price was lower for snakes, consumers would be willing and able to buy more snakes. In this case, if the price is down at 2, then consumers would want to buy 300. So this downward sloping demand curve shows you the law of demand, the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. The supply curve, on the other hand, is upward sloping. It takes time, energy, and money to breed, raise, and sell pet snakes. At a low price, sellers wouldn't want to sell very many snakes because it's not profitable. So at a low price of 2, the quantity supplied would only be 10 snakes. At a high price of $100, sellers would have more incentive to bring a bunch of snakes to the market. Now we're finally there. It's time to put demand and supply together.
X marks the spot.
Let's analyze this graph. At a low price of 2, the quantity demanded, the amount buyers want to buy, will be a lot higher than the quantity supply. At that price, buyers would want to buy 300, but sellers would only want to sell 10. This is called a shortage. If the price was up here at 100, then sellers would want to sell a bunch of snakes, but the buyers would only want to buy a few of them. This is called a surplus. At $20, the quantity demand equals the quantity supply. So there's no shortage and there's no surplus. This is called equilibrium. Equilibrium is like the holy grail of supply and demand.
That's the type of a carpenter.
Now you understand the graph and equilibrium, but we're not done. The supply and demand graph is a great tool for figuring out what's going to happen when there's a change in a market. For example, let's say that snakes and monkeys are substitute pets.
Where did this animal come from?
Now assume that the price of pet monkeys falls. How will this affect the price and quantity of pet snakes? It doesn't affect the supply curve for pet snakes at all. It affects the demand. Consumers that would normally buy pet snakes would now turn around and go buy more pet monkeys because their price is cheaper. This would decrease the demand for pet snakes, shifting the demand curve to the left. At every possible price, people are buying less pet snakes because they're buying monkeys instead. The graph shows the new equilibrium and the fact that the price and quantity will fall. Wait, why? Why does the price go down? After the demand curve shifted to the left, what would happen if sellers kept trying to sell snakes at the old equilibrium of $20? There would be a surplus. There would be way more snakes out in the market that consumers want to buy. Sellers would compete with each other because they want to get rid of all these excess snakes, which would drive the price down to the new equilibrium. Did you get that? Let's show a change again, except this time assume the people in this market have a pest control problem.
Rats.
When people go to the pet store, they figure, let's get a pet that can help us get rid of the rats. What will happen to the demand for pet snakes? If you said increase or shift to the right,
You have chosen wisely.
the graph shows the new equilibrium and says the price and the quantity will both go up. Why does the price go up? After the demand curve shifted to the right, now the quantity demanded is way greater than the quantity supplied. This is a shortage. Consumers want more pet snakes so they can eat the rats, but the sellers are running out of pet snakes to sell. Competition between buyers would bid up the price of snakes and give sellers more of an incentive to bring more to the market. Price would go up, quantity would go up. Understanding these markets is actually pretty easy because it's just the collective behavior of buyers and sellers. In the end, I don't think Indiana Jones would want to buy a pet snake or a pet monkey. I think he'd prefer a dog.
We named the dog Indiana. Aww. You are named after the dog?
Got a lot of fond memories of that dog.
So, decreases. When the price of an item is high, supply remains high because fewer people buy the item, leaving more inventory. Demand. So, what you're going to be asked to do is the demand is defined by the quantity of merchandise that's consuming public wishes to buy. So, for example, right now, if there's a certain kind of shoe or a certain kind of shirt or something that most teens are looking to have, right? The price affects the demand. The lower the price trends, the increase in the demand causes people to feel that the item is a bargain. Higher price tends to maybe decrease. What you were going to be asked to do, if you look at the bottom of this first page, so supply and demand, we're going to be looking for the equilibrium. you are doing this activity. The activity says is that Esteban has an idea that could raise money for a senior class. He wishes to sell buttons commemorating his graduating class. The table below shows the amount of buttons that Esteban can purchase to raise money for his senior class. It also shows the supplies of buttons expected upon demand. So what you have to do is, this is the price, so you have to go to where do you estimate 35 to be. So if you turn to that second page, where would you say $35 is if this is 100 at 1? What are each of these lines going up? How much? 20. So if we're looking at $1, we can buy 35. So at $1, this is 20, this is 40. It should be right in the middle there, right? So you're going to put that point. Does that make sense? So everyone should have that point going for about 1. You're going to do the same for 2 and 4. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a straight edge and draw a line connecting those. This one will be called the supply line. Then you'll do another line with these points, and this will be called the demand. Once you get that far, when you come back from lunch, we will take a look and kind of explain. What we're trying to look at is, well, where is that at a price of $2.50? What's the difference between this price and this one? That's what the question's asking. So, like, how many buttons more if you go up to this or here? What's the difference in that? So the question says, if he charges $2.50 a button, how many disappointed customers might he expect? Customers that wanted a button but couldn't buy one because he ran out, right? So if he's charging $2.50, the demand is going to be up here, and this is all he has to supply, right? This is the only amount of buttons he has. So this is how many buttons he's produced. This is how many people want. So they're asking you, how did you get that number? What are you looking at? Then you have the questions that go through the rest of this page. You'll have today and tomorrow to work on this. My hint might be that if you have not finished G12, which was assigned last week, to do the 10 equations, writing them, I would probably do this because 12 and 15 must be completed in order to take the test. And this activity will count for a homework grade. But if you don't have those other 2 done, if you haven't done the graphing and do all of 15 and 14, you will not be able to take the test. So we're going to start today where you are working on your